everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again for lesson 12. So today we are going to take a look at different Google extensions in order to help us out in our live lessons. And so there's some pretty exciting stuff that have come out recently, even in just the last week. So there are 6 different things that I want to go through real quickly that I think you're going to be really excited about. The first one is an oldie but a goodie, and that is Google Grid. Now Google Grid is really great because it allows you to see all of your students at once. As you can see, right now there's just one lovely student that we have in the classroom, but I can see me and my students at the same time, and that is thankfully because of Grid. So this is an extension that you can add on. You just go to Google Grid extensions and you can add that in, and you'll end up having this icon right here, and when you click it, it allows you to see all of them like that Brady Bunch style, and then you can see all of your students at the same time and you can manage them, and it's a really great tool. So if I didn't have it, if you notice, I go away and I only have the one sleepy student, but once I click it back on, all of your students are going to pop back up. So real quick, it's nice and easy. The second one I want to go over is the attendance one. So this is a really cool one right here. If you add the attendance icon, you're going to go again to Google Extensions and you're going to add Google Extensions Attendance. Now, if I click on my people here, if you notice, I now have this icon here. This is really, really great because often you don't know exactly everybody that's in your class and you want to make sure you can give credit for who's there and take note of who's being engaged and who's not. And so you click this right here and it's automatically going to create, if you notice, a spreadsheet and take count of who is actually in the Google Meet. So you can click that at the beginning of your Google Meet, maybe at the middle, and then at the end, and then you'll be able to kind of see who was there maybe the entire time, who maybe joined halfway through, and who was able to be there towards the end. And that is a nice tool, and it saves it right there for you. So there's no guessing, there's no trying to count the names, things like that, and it saves it right there in your Google Drive. Real great tool. The next one, this is really great actually for those teacher meetings that you're in or any of those network meetings. And it's also great if you have your students at it as well. No more having to fumble and try to figure out where that mute button is. So remember, when you're here, you have to try to figure out, and you have to, okay, where's that mute? Where's that mute? You have to go and put your hand on it and mute it. Or when you're trying to get the students to mute their mic. If you add this extension, this push to talk extension, now all you have to do is you have to just click your space bar and it'll mute and unmute for you. So if you notice when I'm talking, you can see my little green guy going right here. Now if I just notice, I'm not going to click down here. I'm going to keep my cursor up on my screen so you can see it. I'm just going to click space bar. I click space again, and now I'm talking again. So it's super easy. It's a great thing to add in if the students add it, so they don't have to try to find where that mute button is. They don't need to look and search for it. It's nice for when you're in meetings as well, so you can quickly mute and unmute yourself. You don't have to fumble around with the mouse. It's a really great extension to have. Now this next one, called Tactic, is also really nice, especially if maybe you guys are doing a discussion, a Socratic seminar, things like that, and you want to record the meeting. So we all know that closed captioning is at the bottom. So if we turn that on, now you can see that the words are coming at the bottom. But if you have Tactic, the cool thing about that is it's actually going to transcribe those words as well for you. Now if you notice, here's my Tactic pins, and see how that it's noticing that I'm saying the words right here? And it's transposing it. Now, if I had other students talking, unfortunately, my other student is a little shy today, but if that student was speaking, they would also record those words as well, and it would state their name, and it would transpose those conversations. And so it would note who is talking, and it would say their sentences as well. And then when you're finished with the whole thing, and you want to save those conversations, you would stop, and you would come up, and you would click the button at the top. So here is the, when you're finished, you would export. So you click here, and it would ask you where you want it to go. So I'm going to select, and you can decide how you want it. I'm going to put it into a Google Doc. So let's take a look at what that looks like. And notice, since it was just me talking, it's one long paragraph, but it has who said it and the whole paragraph. So it is pretty cool. So if there was a conversation, it would go back and forth. So we can exit out of that today. But it's a really nice tool so that you are able to then capture those conversations, give credit, have those nice quotes. So if you do have those Socratic seminars, you're able to have that, and you're able to save those notations right there. So that's pretty cool. So finally, our last two, I think, are the most exciting, and these are the newest two additions to the Google Toolbox. Now, before I showed you a thing called Nod. I actually want you guys to take that extension off, because Google came up with something that was a little bit better and has a little bit more to it. So if you notice at the top of my screen, I have a new little thing on my Google Meet. Now this is called Google Plus. So if you go and add the Google Plus extension, this is what it's going to look like. And I also recommend that you have all of your students add this as well. And this is going to basically be Nod, but even better. So the really cool thing about this is if you take a look, they are able to have this, and if you click on the smiley face, students now are able to give all of their emojis. So if you want to know how they're feeling, they can react to whatever is going on. So if they think something is funny, they can click on that and the emojis will pop up. So that's why you want your students to have it as well, so you can ask questions, and instead of having a bunch of kids try to talk or put something in the chat, they can just quick give their heads up or their feelings, things like that, through these. Or you can have them raise their hand, things like that, through these simple things rather than having the nod. Now, it gets even better. The other thing that's on here is they now have a timer. So you can put in times right here, and you can say 5 minutes are on the clock, and you can have that go across. The other thing that is really cool, that I think is the best part of this new tool, and I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger so you guys can see how this works, is that in here they also have added the whiteboard. And so as you are teaching, they also can be using the whiteboard and following along. So maybe you are teaching graphs. So they could click on this and they could draw lines. They could be working right on there. They could be working right alongside of you, and then when they're finished, you could have them present and explain how they got their answer. And so that's kind of the cool thing about it, and that's all part of the Google Plus. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is WebPaint. So the really cool thing about WebPaint is that a lot of times when you're showing students things on websites is that you don't get to actually annotate or point things out because you don't actually own the document. But WebPaint actually gives you the tools to annotate, highlight, circle things. So as you are showing them things on the web page, you actually get to do that, and it makes it a lot easier to teach and point things out. So let me show you. So let's say that we are wanting to show something at NASA. And we start talking about this, and we really want to dive in. So what you do is you click on the extension up top, and if you notice, then there are different tools that pop up, and you get to kind of decide what you want to do. So maybe you want to show the fact that they're wearing safety gloves. You can circle in on that. Or maybe you want to show that they are from the US. So you go ahead and point an arrow. Then you come down here and you want to point out like different points as you're going through. You're able to basically write right on there, and you're able to point things out to students while you are teaching on websites. So that is the neat thing about WebPaint. So I hope this is beneficial. Again, we went over 6 really cool extensions that I think will really benefit you as you're going through your Google Meets. So Grid allows you to see all of your students. Attendance allows you to quickly take all of the students that are in your Google Meet and it transposes it into a spreadsheet for you. Push to talk allows you to mute and unmute yourself by simply pressing the spacebar. Tactic makes a transcript of your entire Google Meet and also lets you know who's saying what, and also makes that into your Google Drive for you. Google Plus is the new and improved Nod, and it also puts the whiteboard into your Google Meet so students are able to kind of have a working space while they're in your Google Meet. And then Web Paint allows you to annotate websites while you are showing and teaching students different things while you're in your Google Meet. So I hope these are some useful tricks as you are heading through this remote learning phase. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will see you next time. Take care, be safe, and be smart.